Okay, it is 9 o'clock. In fact, it's 9:02 a.m. It is November 12th, 2025, and this is a meeting of the Camino Real Regional Mobility Authority Board of Directors. So I'm officially calling the meeting to order. Raymond, would you do roll call, please, to confirm a quorum?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Wilson?
Here.
Ms. Masters?
Here.
Here.
Mr. McElroy? Here. Mr. Palacios?
Here.
Mr. Linder? Here. Ms. Perez?
Here.
And currently, Ms. Ortega is out, but she should be joining virtually here shortly. So we do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Are there any public comments?
No, ma'am.
Then I'll move to item 2, introduction of Christopher Linder, our new RMA board member. Welcome, Chris. Chris and I know each other from another board relationship. He is on the Roycom Board of Managers, which is a subsidiary of Ready One Industries. He also has a very distinguished career in the military and was at Fort Bliss for a substantial period of time. I'm going to let you introduce yourself and talk about your background, but I'm excited to have him on the RMA board because he does bring to the table a really important connection with Fort Bliss that we have had with previous long-term board members who have termed out, but which we don't have now. So he's going to be a really valuable addition. So thank you for agreeing to serve and welcome. And
Good morning. So I've lived in El Paso now, I think, about 9.5 years. I came here in 2016. I was the chief of staff at William Beaumont, the old hospital. Had to oversee the movement to the new hospital and some of the construction there. Of course, the Corps of Engineers oversaw all the construction projects, but for me, it was more so, where things were going to go inside the hospital, and then the movement from the old hospital to the new hospital. Since then, when I retired in 2020, I worked at the MCA for a couple of years, which oversaw some of the COVID response here in El Paso, bringing in some partners from outside of the region to help with the response plan. And then worked a little bit in the commercial sector after that, and now I work with a Alaska Native American company with some government contracting in the healthcare industry. So glad to be a part of the board, glad to be helping out as much as I can here in the region and in El Paso. Thank you.
Good morning. Monica Perez. We met this morning. Welcome to have you here. I'm an attorney in town at Mounts Green Myers, and I've been on the board for about 3 years, I believe.
I'm Leah Masters, retired now. I was in banking for all of my career, and just welcome to our board.
Matthew McElroy, we met earlier. Welcome. And I've bounced around doing transportation stuff throughout my professional career, so glad to have you here.
I'm Robert Palacios. Nice to meet you. I'm in real estate development. I'm also fairly new to the board. Joined earlier this year. Just moved back to El Paso from Chicago, where I was in real estate development for several years, and looking forward to working with you on the board.
and then we have Lena Ortega, who's on the Zoom call. Lena, do you want to introduce yourself, even though you don't need an introduction?
Ms. Ortega, can you hear us?
Yes. Good morning. My name's Lena Ortega. I'm an attorney, and I started serving on the board at the same time Robert did. And I'm sorry I'm not there to personally greet you, but I promise to do so at the next board meeting. Welcome.
Thank you.
And now that you're here and we have a full complement on the board, I believe we have a void on the planning committee. Is that the one, or the finance committee?
Finance.
Finance. So for the balance of this year until we readjust committee assignments, we'll go ahead and put you with the Finance Committee. Leah is the chair of that committee, and so it'll be really interesting. And it'll be a good way to learn kind of about all the sources of funding and the different projects and things we're working on. Okay, so with that, we'll go to item 3, which is adoption of the minutes of the board meeting of September 10th, 2025.
No changes, move to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4, presentation, discussion, and action on a board resolution to select one or more firms pursuant to the RMA's request for qualifications for indefinite deliverable contracts dated September 9, 2025, and to authorize the executive director to begin contract negotiations with the selected firms.
Good morning, Ray Mateus, Executive Director of the Camino Real Regional Mobility Authority. And today we've got a PowerPoint for you to walk you through this procurement that we've talked about a couple of times. So as read into the record, this is a procurement for indefinite deliverable contracts. There we go. Okay. So here's our agenda. This is included as part of your backup, so I'll breeze through this pretty quickly, but I'm happy to slow down if you have any questions along the way. Is that? Okay, thanks. So the purpose of this particular procurement relates to the way that this organization operates. We have, as you know, a rotation of engineering firms that we pull from whenever we have design or other activities that we need to be completed. So what we do is we'll put out a request for qualifications for indefinite deliverable contracts, and we receive submittals from those firms looking for the types of services that you see there. And these are just examples, but surveying, right-of-way mapping, everything that you see there is included in the type of procurement that we're looking for. So next. Here's the timeline that we've had on this particular procurement. Back in August, the board established the scoring criteria that we use for this procurement. The RFQ was issued in September. We had a question and answer process that was completed there in September as well. And at the end of September, we received submittals, 15 in total. That's the most we've received on any prior IDC program. So it was quite a few submittals. We also had an evaluation committee, which we'll talk about here in a moment, that met on November 6th to finalize the scoring. And so today we have a recommendation for you in terms of the proposed teams that we want to move forward with. It's a bit of a short list. And then we'll be back for approval of individual agreements with those firms if you so approve. These are the submittals that were received. And again, this is part of your backup, so I won't read through all of them, but these are all of the firms that we received submittals for. And this will be posted online after the board meeting as well for the public. This is the scoring criteria that the board authorized back in August. 35% of the score went to team organization staffing and approach to DBE. 25% was related to past project experience. And we also had a sample project that was included, and we asked them to put together a sample procedure for that project, and that was 40% of the maximum score. I mentioned the evaluation committee, so we reached out to El Paso County, the City of El Paso, and TxDOT. Those are our 3 primary partners that we work with regularly, so we thought it would be useful to have some engineers from those organizations help us make the selection. So from the county, we had Roxanne Medina, who we work with regularly, Ismael Cepeda from the City of El Paso, and Sheetal Patel from TxDOT. So I want to thank them for their work. They were you could tell during our discussions last week that they spent quite a bit of time on each of these, and I really appreciate their work. This is the ranking. So of the total submittals, CEA Engineering Group was ranked number 1, HDR was next, with GFT third, and Consor Engineering fourth. And what we're recommending to you today is to move forward with these 4 shortlisted firms. We would ask, in fact, on the next slide, there's the motion that we'd be asking, a motion to approve the evaluation committee's rankings and authorize the executive director to begin negotiations with the top 4 ranked firms, provided that the resulting master agreements and subsequent work authorizations will be returned to the board for review and approval. So as a reminder, we would negotiate master agreements with these 4 firms. They'd be on the shelf. When a project comes up, then we would issue an individual work authorization. Both the master agreement and the subsequent work authorizations would come back for board review and approval. Happy to answer any questions, but that would be our recommendation today.
Matthew?
Two small ones. When you put out the original RFQ, did you specify the number of firms that would be selected?
We did not. We left it open.
And then when you scored them, I saw the ranking. How did they stack up in terms of points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Was there some big gap where you cut it off after 4?
There was a gap. If you'll allow me to pull that up, or maybe Robert, you could get to it quicker. I should have had that ready. I apologize. And I'll share. In fact, I'll send an email out to the full board with the scores and the full rankings if you're interested. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not finding it. Robert, can you? Thank you. So I'll give you the scores for the top 4. The top was 81.67, the second was 79, and then it dropped down to 77.75 and 74.75.
And then
This is-
after that, what was next?
73.42, 71.33, down to 70 and 68.
Okay. Are 4 sufficient?
Yes, we believe so. So in our past, the one time we selected 5, but that was actually based on the scoring. The 4th and 5th were very close. So normally we have 3 or 4, historically 4 actually, and then one time 5.
And in terms of anticipated work, these 4 firms would represent the skills that you would need?
Well, so that's the tough part. In the instance where we selected 5, that was based on the fact that we were heading into the vehicle registration fee program, so we knew we had quite a bit of funding. That's not the case this time, so we don't exactly know what the work will look like. So there's no work guaranteed to any of these firms. Now, hopefully, we'll be able to continue to generate work for them, but at this point, we don't know what the program looks like.
Okay.
I have another question. I'll move to approve.
Okay, no other questions from anyone else? All right, I have a motion to accept the recommendation as submitted.
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, good work, everyone. Can I assume all of these firms have a presence here in the community?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The top 4 for sure. Some of them actually would be to us.
Okay. Okay, good. Item number 5, discussion and action on board resolutions authorizing the execution of work authorization number 7 with HNTB Corporation and interlocal agreements with the following entities in relation to the Medical Center of the Americas Placemaking Guidelines Project. A, City of El Paso. B, El Paso County. C, Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center at El Paso. D, El Paso Children's Hospital, and E, El Paso County Hospital District.
Okay, we've got another PowerPoint for you. We don't have a lot of PowerPoints today, I should mention, just to prepare you. But this one I think is useful. This is an interesting project that came to us from an initiative that came out of the El Paso Mobility Coalition, which is part of the El Paso Chamber. Next slide. So the intent here, and I'll skip this. This is part of your backup as well. So the intent behind the initiative, El Paso Mobility Coalition's initiative, was to focus in on the Medical Center of the Americas and the ways in and out of the system, of the center. So they felt that, apologies. So they felt that it was not, the ways in and out of the medical center were not representative of the amount of investment that our community has made in the medical center. So you see there a list, and I should mention the first 6 slides come from the chamber. This one shows the significant investments that this community has made in the medical center. So next slide. These are some of the comments made by folks over the years, noting that there's not a positive way to enter the medical center. That last one is normally highlighted by the chamber as it comes from a dental student who notes that it's just not inviting. You want quality. When you want to have the presence and the feeling of quality as you're entering into this medical center. So next slide. And here's some examples of prior wayfinding plans that have been developed in the area. So next slide. And some examples of notable public entrances. So next slide, let me speak more generally. So again, the idea then was that the chamber wanted to make some improvements to the medical center area. They wanted to create a major gateway entrance along Reynolds. But as they put stakeholders together, including Texas Tech, UMC, all of the major stakeholders in the MCA, the conversation was broadened into developing more of an aesthetic for the area. Not only do they want to have a major gateway entrance, but they also wanted a unified aesthetic throughout to show the unified coordination of the medical center. So that's where the RMA came in. We were asked if we could assist with that exercise. So we met with the group and essentially agreed to pursue this. Next slide. So we agreed to develop a placemaking plan. So there are 5 partners that will help us develop this guide, and that's what you see as that first bullet. The city, the county, Texas Tech, UMC, and the Children's Hospital will fund this placemaking plan. The RMA will bring on HNTB, which is one of our general engineering consultant teams, and they will actually do the work. However, we use a project committee composed primarily of the 5 project partners, but also major stakeholders throughout the MCA area, and they'll guide the development of this plan. Next slide. So there are the steps, and I won't go through all of them, but the gist is that we will review all of the prior developed documentation for the area, all of the master plans that the MCA has developed, all of those documents that each of the stakeholders have developed, and use that as a starting point. We'll bring all of that and present that to the committee and receive guidance from them on developing the plan and going forward. I would mention there's not only the placemaking plan, but one really important addition was what we're referring to as grant application support. So at the end of this exercise, not only will we have a placemaking guideline document that each of the stakeholders will utilize when they're making improvements to their individual facilities, but we will also actually have some initial grant documentation that we could submit for a joint project that we can pursue together or individually with one of the stakeholders. Next slide. Here are some of the highlights. We think it'll take about 12 months from issuance of the notice to proceed. We have meetings with the committee, as I mentioned, and those are some of the deliverables that we've kind of glanced over. Next slide. We have signed agreements from Texas Tech, the University Medical Center, and Children's Hospital. The City of El Paso has approved their agreement as well, so 4 out of the 5 are approved, if not signed. And El Paso County took this to Commissioners Court last week, and we presented there, and they have authorized staff to negotiate the interlocal agreement with the RMA and to identify the funding source. So we will have to go back one more time to the Commissioners Court for authorization to execute and to pull the funding for that. But I should note we are very close to advancing. Once we get the county's approval, then we'll be able to sign all 5 and issue the notice to proceed. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, we've got several action items for you. The first one would be authorizing, and these are all through board resolutions, authorizing the execution of work authorization number 7 with HNTB, and then the subsequent interlocal agreements with the city, the county, Texas Tech, Children's Hospital, and the county hospital district. So happy to answer any questions. Yes, ma'am. One action.
Are there any discussions? Matthew?
Just a question. And this is advance warning, it's going to get in the weeds a little bit. Placemaking is really broad definition. The placemaking that you imagine getting into sounds like it's going to cover potentially everything from architectural standards to building placement, building massing, because you're listed all of that stuff. Is that going to be in the final product that's provided?
Potentially. So it really is going to be dependent upon where the committee takes this. So we've included quite a large scope, and in fact, actually, Kelvin is here, should you have any questions on the individual scope items.
Okay.
And in fact, actually, the scope is included as the backup for the underlying item. But I think primarily the focus will be wayfinding, aesthetic improvements, aesthetic treatments along the corridors, and that sort of thing.
So for public properties only, not necessarily private ones?
No, actually, so some of these, the guidelines, we can't force them onto the private properties, right?
You could.
Well,
The city would
we
have to
couldn't.
do
Yeah,
something.
design
we
guidelines
couldn't,
or zoning,
right.
sure.
So we'll develop the guidelines. Now, if the city and the county want to do something with them, they certainly could.
Okay. So all of that yet to come from the committee?
Correct.
Okay. I'll move to approve.
Any other discussion?
I just have a question about funding again. So we have funding for the group to get together and decide on what they want to do. Is that correct? But we don't have funding for the actual placement.
That's correct. So
Okay.
the funding, so the 5 partners shared equally the total cost of $340,000.
Okay.
So roughly $68,000 per partner.
Mhm.
That funding will be used to pay HNTB to develop the guideline document for the committee meetings and to walk us through this process and develop that document.
Okay.
But it also creates the grant application at the back end. So as part of the process, through the planning document, we'll also, the committee will identify one particular project that they're most interested in, that they would like to pursue first.
Okay.
And we'll create some grant application documents for that. So that will end up with a document that we could actually submit through whatever funding source we're pursuing. So those are the 2 primary deliverables. But at the end of it, you're right, there won't be funds for the building of a thing or that sort of thing. It's really the guidance documents and the grant application.
Okay, and the placement, you're trying to get grants for the actual item, or whatever's going to be built?
Potentially,
work
right? So
products,
if-
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if the committee identifies the Reynolds Gateway
Right.
as the primary project, then that would be the grant application that we develop.
Okay.
And then either collectively or one of the individual partners could then take that and pursue funding.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I want to understand.
And it doesn't preclude any of the partners from using their funds to fund it should they desire to, right?
That's correct. That's right.
Okay, it would become then a project,
Yes, ma'am.
capital project. So because we have a representative from the MPO here, given the nature of this type of work, are there still fund categories available for sort of like, street activities that, short of constructing the road, but the aesthetic standards and treatments? There used to be some alternative categories.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry for
Good
putting you
morning,
on the
first.
spot, but
That's all right.
that's what happens when you come to a meeting.
I'm used to it. Sorry. My name is Eduardo Calvo. I'm Executive Director of the El Paso MPO. Yes, there are some programs that are available precisely for this type of projects, like it's called the TA, Transportation Alternative, whatever it's called. But there are 2 opportunities there. One at the local level where some funding comes to the MPO, then we do a call for projects and we select projects. Those tend to be smaller, dollar amounts. And then there's a second opportunity at the state level that TxDOT manages, that there's more funding available, but of course the competition is bigger because it's open at the state level. And then locally, yes, we bounced off some ideas with Raymond about maybe we could, depending on the scope of the actual project that is determined, we could perhaps use maybe CMAQ Category 5, which is congestion mitigation and air quality. If we can justify, for example, part of the project, it makes walking more attractive, and the super flexible Category is 7, which is what we use for off-system projects and so on. So there's some opportunities, but of course, the funding is.
Well, they're
has some
competitive, and
limitations.
I know it's limited.
Yes,
That's good to know. Okay. So I do have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
So I have a motion and second. Any further discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, moving on to item 6, discussion and action on board resolutions. authorizing execution of the following instruments as they relate to the Weiler Aerial Tramway Project. Item A, amendment to the project development agreement with the Texas Park and Wildlife Department. And B, work authorization number 46.2 with Atkins Realis USA.
Okay, this is another good news item. Item 6A is the amendment with Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. We have an agreement with them where we are designing and constructing the Weiler project for them. This amendment adds another $7 million from the most recent legislative session. That $7 million will be focused on the design and the construction of the tramway itself. So as a reminder, we've got 3 pieces to this project. Phase 1, which has been designed and is currently under construction and should be done within about a year. Phase 2 then is the design, which is complete, of the visitor center at the base station and the aerial station as well. And that is unfunded currently. And then the third piece is the tram itself. And so this $7 million will go towards the tram. So item 6A is for the amendment with Parks to provide those funds to us. And then 6B is the work authorization with Atkins Realis, who will support us in pursuit of a tram provider. So would recommend approval on this item as well.
Any questions? If not, I'll call for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. And actually, there was a really good article, Paul Foster bringing his committee here and doing a big promotion for us, so that was exciting to see.
Yes, ma'am.
Item 7, discussion and action on a board resolution authorizing those actions necessary to submit a grant application for a proposed pedestrian crossing at the Medical Center of the Americas as part of the TxDOT Off-System Rail Grade Separation State Fund Program.
Okay, this is another interesting project as well. This one came to us from the Medical Center of the Americas Foundation. The chairman of that organization reached out asking if we could support the pursuit of some grant funds. So in the last legislative session, the legislature approved what's referred to as the Texas Off-System Rail Grade Separation State Fund Program. So that's $250 million that were set aside to help communities deal with at-grade crossings of railroad crossings throughout the state. These are specifically for off-state, which means non-TxDOT facilities, so city, local, county roadways, that sort of thing. The MCA Foundation has identified Rick Francis, the crossing at Rick Francis, to be a major concern for them. This is the main roadway that runs parallel to Reynolds, and on either side you've got a lot of the main facilities. You've got the dental school, the medical school, the nursing school. So you've got quite a few major activities there, and I think the cancer center will be located there as well. So a lot of activity. In fact, I've seen video of there are 3 rail lines there that cross at Rick Francis. One of them, I believe, is a spur and is not used. But the other 2, you've got video of 2 trains stalled out on those tracks, and you've got folks, students and employees of the MCA area crossing those trains. So very dangerous, not ideal. So they've asked if we could assist. The program itself has a 2-step application process, and I think we're ready to go on the submittal in the preliminary applications. The applications themselves will be due November 14th, so I'm asking for authorization to pursue this grant application with your support.
So is this the training you went to?
This
Was this in relation to the training you said you were going to learn more about the program and the grant process?
Yes, ma'am. There was
Okay.
a webinar that TxDOT put together, and there was a question at that time whether RMAs were eligible entities to apply. They've since answered that we can.
Okay, great. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions or discussion? I'll call for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 8, discussion and action on board resolutions to authorize execution of amendments to the following instruments as they relate to the I-10 Frontage Road Extension Project Phase 1. A, advance funding agreement with the Texas Department of Transportation. And B, work authorization number 2 with Consort Engineers LLC.
Okay, this is the project that we are designing for TxDOT. This adds westbound frontage lanes from Executive over to Sunland Park. We've been working with them for quite some time on this project. These amendments add additional funding from TxDOT to add to geotechnical services that need to be added for some of the columns that are out there. We need to go deeper to identify the soil conditions. And in addition to that, additional design activities to account for streets that are tying into this facility in the developed area near this. So that's what you see before you. Under 8A, it's an amendment with TxDOT to provide the additional funding. And then under 8B, you've got the work authorization with Consort, who's providing the design services for us to actually add those additional services. So I would recommend approval.
Move to approve.
I have a motion. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 9, discussion and action on a board resolution authorizing the execution of an amendment to the interlocal agreement with El Paso County for the Canutillo Roads and Sidewalks Project, Colonial Border Grant.
This item is actually a bit of a cleanup item. There, some time ago, you may recall, the county auditor team asked for more explicit language within our interlocal agreements that would authorize the use of project funds for RMA administrative expenses. So what you see under this item is just an amendment to our interlocal that allows for that explicitly. So I would recommend approval.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 10, discussion and action on board resolutions authorizing the execution of amendments to the following instruments as they relate to the Valley Chili Road project. A, interlocal agreement with the Village of Vinton, and B, work authorization number 2 with Hewlett Zollers, Inc.
Okay, item 10A then, this is a project that we're developing on behalf of the Village of Vinton. Item 10A recognizes a change in the way that the Village of Vinton was originally funding this project, so it allows us to use different funding sources. That's 10A. 10B then is an amendment to the Hewlett Zollers work authorization. They're the folks that did the design work on the roadway. Let me take a step back. This project includes 2 distinct components: the roadway, which we designed and will construct using normal MPO federal funding, and then there's a water component that is being funded through Congresswoman Escobar's office. The water component was designed by the Village of Vinton directly with a firm by the name of Park Hill. We need Park Hill to be able to provide design services during construction while we're managing the entire construction. So we're bringing Park Hill in through this work authorization amendment with Hewlett Zollers. So that's what you see under item 10B. So I would recommend approval of both of these items.
No questions, I'll move to approve.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 11, discussion and action on a board resolution authorizing the execution of an amendment to work authorization number 24.1 with Atkins Realis USA for the Darrington Roadway Improvement Project.
This is a project where we are, among other things, we're doing right-of-way acquisitions for the County of El Paso. This project is at the east end of Pelicano, and we are doing right-of-way acquisitions, but we need survey services as well. So that's what you're seeing being added here under item 11, $4,800 for survey services under Atkins. So I would recommend approval.
Move to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 12, discussion and action on board resolutions authorizing the execution of amendments to the following work authorizations with HNTB Corporation to extend the time of performance for A, number 3 for the Automated Weather Observing System Project, B, number 6 for Homestead Meadows Shared Use Path Project, C, number 8 for the Howard Low Project, and D, number 10 for the Alamo Alto Phase 4 project.
This one is also a bit of keeping, these particular work authorizations had explicit schedules tied to them within the work authorization, so we've expanded those timelines because each of these require additional time to be completed. They do not increase the fees, they just extend the time. We've also added some language in these and will include additional language in future work authorizations to allow for an administrative fix of this issue. So I would recommend approval of this item as well.
So, any discussion? All right. I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 13, presentation and discussion on change orders recently approved by the Executive Director for the Fabens Airport Hangar Expansion Project.
We've got a quick PowerPoint for you on this one. As a reminder and for the benefit of Mr. Lindner, the board some time ago approved a board resolution that authorized the Executive Director to execute change orders under a certain amount. So next slide. So you'll see here we have 2 change orders that were approved since the last time we met. Go ahead. And it deals with the Fabens Airport Hangar Expansion Project. So if you'll skip that. This is part of your backup, so you can spend some time with it or give me a call if you have any questions. Since our last board meeting, I've approved two separate change orders, number 17, which added temporary electric generators at the hangar. So these were required because the electrical lines had not been connected yet, but we needed to test the hangar doors. So we brought in those electric generators, didn't want to slow the project. That cost just shy of $5,000. Incidentally, as with all change orders with the county projects, the county reviews and approves the change orders before I execute. So that was approved by the county before. And number 18 as well, which added heaters to the project, which were not originally included. The county did want those added. So that added another $10,000. So both of these were approved. There's no action required. This is just required of me to brief you on it.
Okay, any questions? If not, then I'll move on to item 14. Discussion and action on the following reports for the fourth quarter of the fiscal year 2025. Operating budget, investment report, El Paso Bike Share Sun Cycle Program, and the use of local resources from engineering consultant teams.
Good morning, Robert Studer, Director of Finance. For the record, yes, the Finance Committee met back on October 21st to review these items in depth. As we've done previously, we're going to ask for the board's approval, but don't plan to go over them in detail. We'll have Mr. Lindner at our meeting in January. He'll get to jump right into it with the audit, and I'll talk about more of that in item 15A, but do recommend approval of the items.
Do you have any comments?
We just had, Monica and I had questions about some line items, which Robert and Raymond were able to expand on and explain what they were. We did talk about what on the bike share program, the bikes that are being retired, what they were going to do with it. In fact, they had some interest in another community purchasing those or taking those over for us. I don't know if you all want to know about that, but other than that, we approved everything.
Okay.
So the other community is still in development. We'll see if it happens or not, but we had some initial discussions, but we're still a little ways off from something concrete.
So typically, if the committee has vetted them and looked at them in detail and approved them, we don't go through the presentations unless there's questions or concerns about any of the reports. So if there's no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion to accept the reports.
I'll move to accept the reports.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Then moving to the last item, number 15, staff reports. A, status of the 2025 annual audit. B, CRRMA project manager job posting. And C, status of the Pelicano Drive widening project.
Okay, so Robert Studer, again, I'll be giving you the update on A. So we've not begun the audit yet. We knew it was going to be a late start based on our auditing firm and where we stand, but we should be in good shape. Almost every single PBC is ready to go, so we should hit the ground running. Ms. Wilson, we talked about needing to reschedule the January board meeting and that we would do so at the December board meeting. So if you can come with your calendars prepared to look at dates, probably the last week of January. And that again is to help that we meet the city's timelines for turning our audit into them, because we're a component unit of the city. So we wait till February, it really squeezes the city because then they only have a couple of weeks before their deadline is the end of February. So it helps them a lot if we can move up we'll push back our January board meeting. And so we'll schedule that at the December board meeting.
Then I'll take the last two items. 15B relates to the project manager job posting. So you each received a copy of that. It's also part of your backup. We have closed that application period, and we received 26 resumes. So we're happy with that number. So Robert and I will start going through those very soon. 15C then is the status of the Pelicano Drive widening project. So we haven't talked about this one in a little while. As a reminder, we have an agreement. We have come to an agreement between the county, the RMA, and the surety company. They have executed their construction contract with the takeover firm, which is a group by the name of Hawk Construction, which we use on other projects. We're very happy to have them on board. They have started work. They've installed their construction office on site. They've replaced all of the traffic control devices, and they've done cleanup as well, which helped that community out there. The weeds had gotten quite out of control, so that was very helpful. In fact, they've taken over control of the site, so there was an accident out there that knocked down one of the streetlights, and so they took control of that as well. They are currently working on a survey for the entire roadway for this phase one, so that's underway now. They believe that they should begin construction activities on the roadway in December, but currently they're working on the ponds. First is the one by the school, and that's a safety issue for those students out there, so we're happy to see them working on that now. And then they'll move over to a pond that is further down the road. That would be next. But again, roadway activities start in December. And then one other note, the county asked that we notify the community of the restart of work. So we've sent out a postcard to approximately 2,000 folks within half a mile of Pelicano itself. So those should be hitting mailboxes today if they haven't already. So that should be out there, and we direct them to our website, which has been updated, and we've actually brought on an outreach group that will help us retool the web page so we can have regular construction updates on the project. So that will be much more updated much more frequently. So that's all I have. I just wanted to give you a bit of an update on what's happened with that project. Oh, I should mention too, so we're talking about phase one, which is the westbound lanes from Aircoup back to 375. That's important because the other piece eastbound from the 375 out to Aircoup is essentially done already. So that will complete that component. The rest of the work that was not completed by the original contractor or won't be completed by this replacement contractor is considered what we're calling phase two. The phase two design plans are currently underway, and we should have those in hand late this month or sometime into December. Once we have those, we'll share those with the surety company. The surety company will get pricing from Hawk, and then at that point, we will know the full exposure of the surety, and we will begin full negotiations with them on how to complete the entire project. So that's coming up as well, concurrent paths. Happy to answer any questions, but that's all I have for you. No action required.
One question, comment. So the timeline that you laid out, I just want to make sure that our next update isn't in March or April, because I'd like to see in some form what the construction estimate comes back at, the engineering estimate, and then I'd like to see us give the surety some date certain to respond by as to whether or not they're going to accept that price. And then the board at that point can decide if they want to do anything at that point. But
yes, sir.
I don't want to wait forever on the surety because of how long it's already been.
Understood. So we can do that. We'll bring, once we get the design set finalized, we'll bring you the engineer's opinion of probable construction cost, and then we'll talk through with you all what kind of a timeline we'll want to provide to the surety company. Happy to do that. Thank you. Yes, sir.
And the other thing is the surety company still sort of hanging its hat out there on an appeal?
Yes, ma'am.
So at the time we get all this, maybe we also need to have our attorney so we can find out what's going on with that appeal.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we can do that. So and I should have mentioned that as well. we're in the district court on the appeal. They filed their documents, and ours were due, I want to say, 2 weeks back, so we filed our response.
Okay.
So now it's with the court.
Okay,
But once we get the plan set complete, and we have the opinion of probable cost, construction costs from the engineers, we'll bring it back with an executive session and provide a full briefing.
that would be really good.
And seek guidance. Yes, ma'am, we can do that.
Okay, good, thanks, that's very helpful. And then the other thing that's really not on here, but where are we with our communications group? Are they doing stuff?
Yes, ma'am. So we've got them on board. The first task was this postcard, because that was pretty
Okay.
immediate, and so that's out the door. We have our newsletter, which is, we do quarterly, and that'll be after this board meeting, so within the next 2 weeks, that newsletter will go out. And I believe we have a third item that escapes me that they are about to start work on. And I apologize. I'll send an email follow-up on that third item. But yes,
Okay,
ma'am, they're
because
on
there's a
board.
lot of good stuff in here, particularly with the MCA and the railroad project that are sort of different from what we've done, plus some of the work we're doing with TxDOT now.
Yes, ma'am.
The tramway is coming to a closure, that's a big success. And then just really highlighting all of these like smaller, well, they're not small projects, but the projects in the smaller communities. So I really want to make sure that the newsletter is very meaty and substantive, really provides a detailed scope and scale of the effort, our work that is in progress coming to closure. I think it'd be a good time to update on Pelicano,
Yes, ma'am.
give them a little bit of timeline on that, because, you know, that's a project of interest to a lot of people. And, yeah, so, and the other thing is, on the newsletter, the stakeholder list, could you share that with us? Because maybe we have ideas of people to add to that.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to make sure it's as, I mean, since it's an electronic communications, I want to make sure that as many like groups out there as possible, interested parties have access to that.
Yes, ma'am. I can do that.
I don't want to micromanage it, but I've not really seen it, and I know every now and then we talk, and it's like, make sure we're doing this, this, and this. So I think as we, you know, we kind of keep the stakeholder list updated and fluid, then there's opportunities, and I think our project consultants, maybe you can look at that too. You may have ideas of, because you do a lot of outreach too, of like interested parties that we want to make sure like are aware of stuff that we're doing.
Yes,
Okay?
ma'am. We can do that.
Okay. Is there a need for an executive session?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so there's no further business, and so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
I have a motion. Second. I have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. It's 9:50 a.m. and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming. If you have a moment, I'd like for you to meet our newest board member, Mr. Linder. Thank you.
Thank you.